Hello, folks. Welcome to Between the Lions, an ongoing oral history of the mission by the musical collective known as My Soul Among Lions to put all 150 psalms from the Bible to music. Today we have what I guess is turning into our regular crew. We've got me, Nathan Alberson, your humble and obedient host. We've got Pastor Philip Moyer here.
Hey.
One of the overlords of My Soul Among Lions.
That's a new one.
And producer extraordinaire, lyricist, writer, all that good stuff. Phil does it all. And then we have lyricist of the song that we are going to talk about today, Jake Menzel.
Yeah.
And I dare say Jake considers this to be one of his victories in the...
This is one of my greatest personal triumphs.
One of your great personal triumphs in the early history.
In all of my life, actually.
Well, I hope that's not true. But
yeah, me too, actually.
But no, let's get into it. I think the first thing to say, we're talking today about Psalm 3, You Are My Shield. If you know My Soul Among Lions, you probably know this song. I'd say this is another one of our...
It's probably the most watched video that we've ever made.
Yeah, this is one of our big hits. The important thing to establish right up front is that, as we've talked about on previous episodes, My Soul Among Lions came out of a church band called Good Shepherd Band. They had a Psalm 3, and it was a good Psalm 3.
That Psalm 3 cast a long shadow over
a beloved
whole
Psalm
project,
3.
Over the whole project. It was written by David Pryor. He's a fantastic musician and songwriter, and who was part of our church for a long time. And it cast a big shadow over absolutely everything that we did, because it came to be defined along with another Psalm 8 that we had as it came to define what a good psalm setting was and what worked in congregational worship.
But thou, O Lord, are a shield about me, my glory and the lifter of my head. But thou, O Lord, are a shield about me, my glory.
We wanted to take a fresh approach to each of these songs, and so we wanted to try our hand at each of them over again, even if we thought we had the perfect Psalm 1, even if we thought we had the perfect Psalm 3, even if we thought we had the perfect Psalm 8. But Psalm 3, this one by David Pryor, this one was the song
Right.
to live up to. And so I don't think that there's any other song on this first set of 10, or psalm on this first set of 10 that had more false starts, that has more little snippets and other versions out there that never saw the light of day. And I've worked on a lot of them with Jody. We must have done 5 or 6 versions of Psalm 3.
Forgive me if I'm wrong. At one point, wasn't there a version ready to, maybe this is jumping ahead, wasn't there a version ready to go? Like basically, this is the version we're going to use. And I wasn't all that excited about it.
Oh yeah, and it was called, I think the other one was just called The Shield About Me.
And you're looking at that one on your computer right now, right?
Yeah, I am.
So we're going to play a little bit of that right now.
Oh Lord, how many of my foes are rising to confound me. They try and terrorize my soul. With grace, Lord, please surround me. Oh, you are a shield about me.
And here's another one.
See how my foes are rising, their numbers have increased. So many now are saying of my soul,
There's
there is no help
Those maybe some of you like.
and there were other ones that never saw the light of day. That never even got
made
turned
it as
into
far as
demos.
the demo process. Yeah.
Yeah. I was a believer in what we now have as You Are My Shield.
Right.
It was just this little demo that Jody cut that he didn't believe in, and I went ahead and I finished the lyrics to it.
Mm-hmm.
And it must have been a process of months where I would
It was.
I'd come back to Jody and be like, "Hey Jody, you really shouldn't write this song off. I think it's actually really great."
Mm-hmm.
And then I come back a little bit later and be like, "Jody, you really shouldn't write this song off. Like, I still think this is really great." But it just, in everybody's mind, we were stuck in this certain pattern of thinking, and we couldn't shake the ghost of David's song off of us.
And David's song, for people that don't know, it's bright, it's poppy, it's fun, it's straightforward.
strong.
It's strong.
It's strong. Well, one of the things that David is good at is like David's good in the way that Chris Tomlin is good. Like when Chris Tomlin's at his best, when he comes up with like a nice, really catchy melody that has some real strength behind it, that's the kind of thing that David's really great at.
Mm-hmm.
That feels big, that feels glorious, that feels easy to sing at the same time. Like
He's also a wizard on the guitar, on the
Yeah.
electric guitar, and so
Yeah.
he's got this little bit of a funky tuning on it, and makes it feel really rich.
it gives it a unique feeling
Mm-hmm.
to it. So it doesn't just feel like a poppy praise song.
Mm-hmm.
It feels like the really good version of a poppy praise song.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But that's a hard thing to live up to, and it's a hard thing, especially when you're coming up with, you might conceivably come up with something better than that, but if it's at all a risk, if it's not a straightforward better than that, it's going to be hard for it to prove itself and for it to live. You just have to enter into the minds of the people that were looking at this material at the time, because that works in such a bright, colorful, fun, straightforward way that anything else, even something potentially a lot better, is going to feel circuitous when that's the standard that you're putting it up against, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And so that was the problem.
Phil, I don't know how it came to be after nagging and nagging and nagging.
Well, as I recall,
Did
we did it in worship, as we more like that demo.
Oh, you did it the same way that you did Psalm 1, where you took, I remember now, you just redid David's song, because that was what it was going to be. Or no, this other version in worship, and then you did
We should explain for people, we were doing a Sunday morning psalm series.
Yeah, exactly.
So each week we would tackle a different psalm. The sermon would be on that. So in this case, Psalm 3, someone's going to preach whatever the pastor is going to preach Psalm 3, and whatever versions we had. Sometimes we do a couple versions, and the way we do it is whatever one was more singable or was perceived to be more singable, we would do it with the congregation.
Right.
And then a lot of times for offertory, the guys would get up and
Present another
version, an alternate
Yeah.
take.
I can't remember. So this was probably in the offertory slot. but
I'm
was
remembering now
definitely in
too.
the
It was.
offertory
So we did
slot.
David's version.
Or we did one of the other Jody versions.
Yeah, I
don't
can't remember. But what struck me about this was it. I would say it was mediocre.
Mhm.
Okay, but granted, I'm not. My mind often makes judgments about music based on just the music and how
Right.
it hits me.
Uh-huh.
And so I thought this song needed some work, but somehow I thought we have to start this a cappella. And so after we tried it, it was just like,
Was this after you'd done it for
this
the
is
congregation?
after we had done it in the congregation.
Mhm.
And then we practiced it a cappella starting and then going into that nice
Mhm.
groove.
Mhm.
And it just like,
It really
just
brought it
made
to
the
life.
song.
Yeah.
Made us all fall in love with it. The lyrics are great. They're simple. They're memorable. I mean, that's
Mhm.
part of the result of simplicity.
Right.
They rhyme.
Mm-hmm.
They're simple. So yeah, I think, Jake, you were right to push for this song. But I think, at least in the beginning, the music hadn't risen
Wasn't there yet.
to match the lyrics well, even to help them. Somehow, starting with that a cappella just really helped to pull it out, pull the lyrics out, and bring it to life.
Yeah. Well, that's something I would say if there's people listening that are interested in getting into any kind of creative work, persistence is key, because a lot of times you don't realize the difference between, well, Mark Twain said it, the difference between the right word and the almost right word is the difference between lightning and a lightning bug. And you never know when you're just one revision or one little change away from having something really great. Sometimes it just takes a little change, like what Philip's talking about, to really make something pop in a way that, for whatever undefinable reason, I mean, maybe we could sit here and figure it out, or maybe you guys have a theory, but I don't know personally why doing that first stanza a cappella brings the song to life the way it does.
Well, it makes
but
it
really
more
does.
personal. Like, you're out there, you're wherever you are, you're being attacked,
Mhm.
you're alone. It has this feeling of not that it's isolated, but even though there are three voices singing, it has this soloistic sound.
You're on a field, basically. I think
Yeah.
it gives you that.
Yeah,
It gives you
you don't have your instruments, you don't have all this with you. You're just
in a
out
cave.
there.
Which is to say, you don't
In
have
a
your
cave with
weapons. You
David.
don't
Yeah.
have you're just hiding out. Yeah.
Yeah.
It has a pastoral, not like a pastor pastoral, like nature kind of a feeling to it, you know.
Oh, that's fascinating, because it's often understood that the pastoral key is the key of F. I think this
And
one's...
that's the key it is?
I don't know. You want to confirm that?
Right in front of you?
I've got
Like on paper in front of you?
Yes, it's in the key of F.
Haha, there you go.
Thanks, Jake. Here it is, right before my eyes.
You have the music literally in front of you. I wonder. It's like, can Phil not read music?
Phil, look down. You know, one thing that really came about after making that beginning a cappella is I think we began to find our sound.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what is the Lions' sound? You know, we had Psalm 2, and that's a good description of our sound. But then we add to that, you know, some vocal harmonies and a cappella, and so then you start to hear that in some other songs. Like you hear that in Psalm 1, Night and Day.
Right.
You have Jody, Andrew, and myself, just 3-part harmony together, and it's neat. It's unique and
That's really cool.
neat sound. And so that helped to come about through this song.
Yeah, it's cool when you find things like that.
Fun fact about this song lyrically, it draws from one clear extra biblical source.
Yeah.
The great Stonewall Jackson. That line, I'm as safe with you out in the field as in my bed, is a paraphrase of something that Stonewall Jackson's approach, understanding the sovereignty of God and being a soldier.
If God is sovereign, then I'm just as safe with bullets whizzing over my head as I am when I'm sleeping in my bed, or just as in danger of dying.
If I'm where I'm supposed to be doing what I'm supposed to do, that's all I'm in God's hands either way. Yeah.
Yeah, I would say this is one of our first, and chronologically, this probably didn't come actually until somewhat through we've written other songs that come after it on the album before we got here, because I don't think we wrote them all in order, did we?
Well, we were going in order as we presented them.
Right.
But we definitely...
And as we worked as a collective, we were all over the place.
Yes, that's true.
Psalm 6 was one of the very first things that I wrote.
Right.
Mhm.
So Psalm 6 and Psalm 5 are the first two things that I ever wrote for the project.
So what I want to say is that if there were any false starts, they probably came on other songs, in terms of Jake finding his footing, but Jake's just like coming into his full blush, is that the phrase?
Maybe.
Jake's coming into his own as a songwriter around this time, and yeah, these lyrics are great. They're really simple, and they allow the music to do some of the work, which is something that I'm really bad at. I always want to make the lyrics a full service meal that give you everything you need. That's not always best. In fact, it's generally not for a song. You want the music to do some of the work. And it's not that you can't read this, see how my foes increase, see them rising up against me. They rob my soul of peace and say there is no help in God. It works by itself. But I love how humble it is that it actually lets the music do a lot of the work. That's something I admire, because a lot of times I will try and make the lyrics work so perfectly that I actually exclude the ability for music to bring anything, and that makes it useless for a song.
Yeah, it got me thinking about how the music, the space that you sing it in, and how that enhances it. I don't know if you remember the video we did pretty soon after the debut of this song. We were like, we got to make a video, and
Right.
Yeah.
so we went over to the local mill, the Woolery Mill, and
Abandoned stone cutting mill.
an amazing space reverb, and that's like the words sing on. You sing it in there. It's like you're in a valley, or and it really helps to draw out the lyrics. And that was one of the first things we put out for people to see, that and the other video, the Psalm 2.
Right. Yeah. Well, and people should just be aware, or they should take note. When something works this well, you look at it and you think it's inevitable, but it's really not. And I hope that playing those demos helps illustrate that point. But also just think, you are my shield. I mean, you could go with a really warlike kind of a sound for that. You could move the lyrics in that direction as a lyricist. You could do all kinds of things. But the song has a very
Plaintive.
Yeah, that's a good word for it. Feeling, which is there in the psalm. It's not like we just made that up. That's not what I'm saying. lest anyone think that. But we did make a choice. I want to keep emphasizing on this podcast, there are interpretive choices to be made. And I think people should be aware of that. They shouldn't assume we just took the psalm and we're just presenting it to them, they're as it was. No, we're making choices about this material, hopefully good ones, and I think you can trust us to make good ones, which is why you like us. But
yeah, and I should say earlier, just in case people are maybe a little concerned about us pulling in the Stonewall Jackson thing, that's actually all in the psalm.
Absolutely.
Right.
He's worried about his foes rising up against him and surrounding him. And verse 5, I laid down and slept. I woke again, for the Lord sustained me. I will not be afraid of many thousands of people who have set themselves against me all around.
Mm-hmm.
That's all we were trying to get at. It was just that
came to mind.
It came to mind at work, field and shield rhyme, and I think sometimes that's just how it works.
Yeah.
What you were saying, Nathan, about just kind of the style and the nature of the song, I think it ended up being a real comfort.
Yes.
I don't take for granted, you have the Obergefell thing, you have all this uncertainty, and then you have Psalm 3, and I'm safe.
Yeah, absolutely. Right. It was a very good counterweight. To
they make a great 1-2 punch on the album. You've got God's in control. He's going to smash you down, kings, and then you've got God's in charge.
What do I have to worry about?
I have nothing to be worried about.
It's really great. And by the way, when Jake talks about maybe Stonewall Jackson being a little bit of an inspiration, but it also being inherent, but there also being a little license there, I just want to make a little space for that, but for the license part of that, by saying, did everybody know that Joy to the World? I mean, I know you guys knew, but did you listeners know that Joy to the World is Isaac Watts's adaptation of Psalm 98?
Yeah, exactly.
So there's good precedent, which if you read
all kinds of good precedent for this kind of thing.
A Mighty
Lots
Fortress
of the hymns that you sing
is Psalm 46.
Yeah, and if you read those Psalms, you might be forgiven for not assuming that they were those
and
hymns.
though this world with devils filled should threaten to... That's not exactly in that psalm.
Right. Great men have been taking interpretive latitude, but there's a way to do that faithfully. There's also a way to not do that faithfully. I just want people to be aware that we do it, and then they can judge for themselves whether we do it faithfully. I think we do. But enough said. Shall we listen to Psalm 3? Anything else to say about the musical production of this one, Phil? It's beautiful.
No.
Great.
Yeah.
Well, let's give it a listen.
All right.
See how my foes increase. See them rising up against me. They rob my soul of peace and say there is no help in God, but you, O Lord, you are my shield. You lift my head, I'm as safe with you out on the field as in my bed. You keep my life concealed. You are my shield. I lifted up my voice, and you answered from your mountain. You made my soul rejoice. Oh yes, just destroy the wicked. Show us your power and might. None can save us, none but God. You, oh Lord, you are my shield. You lift my head, I'm as safe with you out on the field as in my bed. You keep my life concealed. You are my shield. My foes around me all will yield. I know the victory is sealed. You are my shield.
Hey, if you like this song and you want to buy it, you can buy it on iTunes or Amazon or Bandcamp. You can go right now and listen to it on Spotify or Apple Music. If you want charts, lead sheets, it's all available for free at clearnotesongbook.com. And if you want to support this work and get access to great new content as we write and produce new songs, go to patreon.com/MSAL, where you can sign up for as little as a cup of coffee a month.